welcome to the Kids Have No Idea pod, where four old guys think they know better than today's youth on movies, TV, and video games. So today we're going to review The Batman. So we all got to see it this weekend. Let's do a little bit of initial impressions, what you thought overall, spoiler free, and then we'll get into in-depth discussions, spoilers. Okay, how about Anthony? What did you think of this movie?
Yeah, always a bit of apprehension going into a hero movie, but I'll just say I enjoyed it. Yeah, I'll leave it at that just for now because I'm going to get into it and I don't want to spoil my thoughts on it.
Okay, Nav.
that was very directed to the point. Okay, if people have been watching this podcast for a while, you guys know that my thoughts. I was very, very much the person in the room that was saying this is going to be an absolute shit show of a film, and it's going to be I think I actually might have said it in one of the podcasts last week, where it's going to be a car crash where I won't be able to look away. Just it's like a car crash on the side of the road where I'll have to kind of watch it. But no, I was actually pleasantly surprised. I thought it was well acted. I thought the action was solid. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought like the storyline was good. It's very different to previous Batman incarnations, which I really, really liked. I liked the fact that they didn't try and compete with any of the previous Batman. Like, you can go back all the way to Adam West Batman 1960s. This thing is so different to anything else that you might have seen when it comes to Batman, which I think like really does it justice. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. That's my mini take. Adrian?
Yeah, for me, so Batman is my favourite superhero. Or can you describe me as a superhero? He's my favourite character nonetheless. And I was initially super hyped about this film, and then I kind of went in there with a bit of trepidation. So I went in not knowing much about any of the actors, their history, stuff like that. And I left. It might be recency bias, but I quite enjoyed the film a lot actually.
Quite a lot.
Yeah, quite a lot. So yeah, we'll wait until we get into it and I can talk about it a bit more. So yeah, was pleasantly surprised.
Okay, this shocks me today. This shocks me properly because you lot were shitting on it, basically all of you. But I felt when we talked about this film before,
pretty much. Yeah.
So I know I was the only one going, I believe Matt Reeves. I believe in Matt Reeves, and I think I've come out less as high as I was. I think this is a very good film, but if the Nolan trilogy didn't exist, this would be the top. But they do. So I've always loved Batman Begins. It's like probably my favorite Batman movie. And very close Dark Knight. And even then, The Dark Knight Rises, which has so many problems, but it still overall has very high highs and it has those lows where I feel like this is solidly consistent throughout the whole movie. It doesn't have those ultra highs for me. So yeah, very shocked at what's happened after watching this movie, where we've all landed on it.
Yeah. Like I said, shall we wrap this up and give it a score? What do you guys think?
I mean, I could probably go on for quite a long time, but what I think we should do is agree on a new scale, right? And I do think you would go with 5, like Nav likes.
I was going to say, you want to go 10? We'll go 10, mate.
No, but we'll define what each one is, right? So let's. I'm basically stealing this from Kind of Funny. Basically, they've got a 5-point scale. 1 is terrible, 2 is bad, 3 is good, 4 is great, and 5 is excellent.
So what's average then? What is the
So for that would be just good. It was, I didn't hate it. It was like it's enjoyable. You should watch it. And like if it's just 2, that's like just bad. Catch it on like demand or 10 years time. And then terrible is to stay away from it. And then
do they have decimal points or not?
No, just 5. Like
I mean, to be fair, I don't understand how that's different from my 5-point scale. It's exactly the same.
No, but yours are just numbers. You didn't define what those numbers were.
All right, fine.
I feel like that's. I've
right.
just
So we've now defined those numbers. All right, go on then, guys.
Anthony, do you want to go first?
Out of 5, it's a 4 for me. So it's not a perfect film. It has its issues, but for the most part, it's highly enjoyable, and I'll be watching it again. 4 out of 5.
Nav?
I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
Nav, I was going to say 8 out of 10. I was going to say 8 out of 10, but we agreed on 5.
No, do you know what? It's like, I was happy with the 5-point scale until you decided to change it, and now I want to go to a 10-point scale just to be different and difficult. Okay. No,
it's an 8 out of 10.
It's an 8 out of 10. It's a 4 out of 5. It's a fantastic film. I think I think it's not flawless. If they shaved half an hour out of it, if there was a Nav's cut where they got rid of all the Catwoman elements, just to make it a little bit more streamlined, not necessarily the cat. Like if they made it a bit more streamlined, to me it would be a 5 out of 5. But for now, it's a 4 out of 5. Great film.
Yeah, for me, I don't like saying something's a 5 out of 5 out of the gate. So simply on that basis, I'm going to say it's 4. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I think we could talk about some of our favorite scenes. We haven't really touched on those. But for me, really, really good. I came out of this really surprised because I came in not knowing a lot about the actor's previous history, the director's previous history, so completely sort of no preconceptions. Really, really enjoyed this film. Definitely recommend you go watch it.
For me, I think I want to say 3, but I think I'm being a bit harsh on it. I think my initial gut was 3. I think I'll grow to enjoy it more.
Wouldn't it be good if you could do half-point scores, or possibly go to a scale of 10, and then you could have given it like a 7?
10 is rubbish. I
was going to say it seemed like Adrian.
We need decimals, mate. Decimals.
No, I think
a 4.8 out of 5.
No, I just think I think I'll forgive some of the issues after I'm watching it again. Maybe. I was gonna say who wants to jump in, go and get into the spoilers?
All right. I mean, this isn't even like a spoilery thing. I do feel the one big negative I think of the film. I feel it is probably about half an hour too long. I reckon they could have shaved it, kind of tightened up the film a bit. And you're nodding like you agree. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's definitely like some segments in the middle that just felt like they could be tightened up. So, some stuff where they dwell on it a little bit too long. I think they definitely kind of focused on the things that Robert Pattinson was good at doing. So you don't see very much Bruce Wayne, and I appreciate that you don't see very much Bruce Wayne, because I think he I was taking the piss out of it previously of like emo Bruce Wayne. Fact is, I think you see Bruce Wayne in the film probably more in the trailer that's playing below than you do in the actual movie. It's pretty much about the same in terms of runtime length. He's in it almost, he's almost non-existent in it. I didn't like the character of the Penguin in from the trailers. I didn't like the character of the Penguin in the film. But going to spoilers now, he isn't really kind of a main focus of the film as much as the trailer would make you believe. I mean, I don't know. I mean, what more is there to say from my perspective? And like, are we going full spoilery?
Full spoilers.
Yeah. We can go.
Just go for it, man,
I want to quickly get onto the Bruce Wayne Batman, Pattinson's Bruce Wayne. Did you not like it after seeing the movie though? Did you just? What was your opinion of it?
I thought
he did a good job.
No, I thought it was. I mean, at the end of the day, the concept is this is a Bruce Wayne that is. This is 2 years into him being Batman. It kind of says that at the start of the film. He's been doing Batman for 2 years now. So this is kind of, it's not year 1, it's year 2, which I think a lot of the spoilers, like when they were filming the film, they were kind of saying, "Oh, this is going to take on year 1 of Batman. It's going to be kind of following those kind of comic book kind of origins," but it isn't. It's kind of like year 2, so slightly beyond that. And yeah, I just think that like his Bruce Wayne, fine. This is when he's just first starting out as Batman, and he's kind of very like involved in that. But at the same time, you just don't see any form of Bruce Wayne that you've seen in any other Batman. Like, he's not a suave guy who's trying to hide the fact that he's Batman. He literally is like fully engrossed himself into being this guy who's there for vengeance. And I think the film, to be honest, suffers a little bit for it. It would have been nice to see a bit more Batman, but I think, again, it kind of the Robert Pattinson element of, I don't think he could have played a good Bruce Wayne anyway. So they kind of lead into that. I think they did it on purpose of saying, well, like, that's not the focus of the film. Let's go with something else.
I personally don't think that. I think he does a decent enough job, but this is a different take on what Bruce Wayne is. I think this is someone who's obviously never really got over the trauma, and he's still in that state. And like his Alfred in this, it hasn't been that nurturing Alfred, like who's been a parent properly. He's been, oh, the only thing I know how to do is to teach you how to fight, and that's how he becomes this, fucked up kid who's basically been trained from a young age probably to become some sort of vigilante
to an extent. But then didn't you feel that at the end that was him kind of coming to the realization that vengeance isn't everything that it's cracked out to be, and he needs to be.
Well, that's the thing, right?
And he needs to grow up and be more of a Bruce Wayne.
Well, he needs to change his outlook, and this is the point, right? He doesn't call himself Batman; he calls himself Vengeance. And that's the whole thing about it, and that's when, obviously, full spoilers, when he gets to the end, and then Riddler's hench dude basically.
Well, it was the Riddler himself.
No. It was like one of his goons that was like he got to shoot up the place where he's beating him up on the walkway. Actually, when his mask comes off and he says, "I'm vengeance," and it's because they were all inspired by him once he went out and become this thing. It's that whole trope about if a superhero like comes to light, does that bring out all the super villains that create them basically? And that's what it did. He was inspired by what Batman was doing, and that's why.
I didn't walk away with that.
No, he did. He says it to him. He goes when he was in Arkham. He's like,
no, I get the whole. Like, I mean, I get where you're coming from, but I just didn't read into it like that. To me, that isn't how I read it.
Well, it was kind of literally said.
Okay, well.
It was literally said like I was like inspired. I thought we were partners in the same kind of. We're doing the same thing. And he's like, no, that's not what I do. And it's when he's like, that's when at the end, we get full spoilers again, like into when he's helping the people out of the flooded area. They don't want to take his hand. They're scared of him. And like, it's the little kid who realizes, oh, I've seen you at the police things. You're helping with the police, and then starts to trust in him and takes his hand. And then there's that woman who's like thankful because he carried her off to the stretcher, and she grabs his arm. Like, instead of scared of him, was like reassurance. He's changing his perception. Like, oh, it's the kind of Dark Knight. I'm doing what the city needs from me, kind of thing. They need a villain, blah blah blah, in that one. But it's here they need hope.
Okay, fine.
So
yeah, that's exactly it. Sanders literally almost read my notes verbatim. So that moment when the goon says that he's vengeance, that's the realization for Batman to be like, I cannot just be a symbol of fear and vengeance and retribution. I need to be more. I need to be greater than that. This is what the city needs. The city needs a symbol of hope. Like, the new mayor symbolizes hope compared to, the previous mayor, which was about corruption. So yeah, that I think the portrayal of Bruce was good, insofar that it's not a 1-for-1 comparison to like you said, the playboy, big spending Bruce. It was he's a broken, crippled individual who's just compelled by his past to act in the way he does. I think my main issue with this portrayal of Bruce is he just kind of didn't look the part for me. Like, it's hard to articulate, but he just didn't look like a authentic Bruce Wayne. But apart from that, it was. I think it was good that they just didn't try and copy and ape the previous Batman movies. They tried to do something different. So yeah, I really appreciated that.
Well, I think a lot of people's apprehensions going into this was the fact that it was Robert Pattinson. People know him from Twilight, and I think he was also in Harry Potter. My apprehensions were different. I've always actually quite liked Robert Pattinson. I've never not been a fan of Twilight. I think the first films are actually pretty solid. Mock me all you will. I think they're pretty good films. So my apprehension was that I just don't really like hero movies, as you know, and I was just really hoping this film stood on its own as a film and told a good story. And for the most part, I thoroughly enjoyed this film. It was long, and I think what Adrian's saying about the fact it's a younger Bruce Wayne and it kind of didn't quite gel with you. It was evident to me from the offset. So when they had that whole scene of him riding home and they had that Nirvana song playing in the background, that to me just showed me they're going for a younger, angstier take on the Batman. And from that point on, it sat well with me. It clicked with me, and I was watching it not like I watched Batman Begins or Dark Knight. It made sense to me. So tonally and aesthetically, I think the Batman looks magnificent. I think every shot just looks incredible. And I love this rain-drenched take on Gotham. It feels really oppressive. And there's like a genuine sense of danger. And the part that invested me straight away was when they were talking about, well, I think Bruce Wayne's actually narrating the film. So so the early parts of the film is him narrating, and towards the end, he's also narrating as well. I quite like how they didn't have a constant narration throughout the film. I think Matt Reeves has very cleverly directed this film. But there's a scene where they're talking about how criminals are fearful of the idea of the Batman rather than him even being anywhere in sight. So they're fearful of what's lurking in the shadows. And I don't know why that really resonated with me. And I was just with the film from that point on. And this film had atmosphere to it. And sometimes that goes a lot further with me than, dare I say, even story sometimes. This film felt a bit like The Matrix to me in its tone. It felt a bit like Seven, the Morgan Freeman, Brad Pitt film. And I like this detective Batman style. So they've gone more detective Batman rather than, I think it was more of some kind of samurai in Batman Begins. And I like what they did with it. And yeah, I just really enjoyed the film. It was a tad too long. I think they could have cut half an hour off this thing. And because the story wasn't overly complex, I don't think it warranted a 3-hour runtime. And I was getting a bit impatient at certain points, but overall, this film is a solid thumbs up. I think I might actually watch it again pretty soon. Because
I was 100% like I was speaking to the wife, and she was saying, "Oh, do you want to watch a movie?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's go watch The Batman again." Because I really want to.
Oh wow! Are you going to go watch it at the cinema? I mean, it's going to be out on digital release in 45 days because of.
I don't think I can wait that long.
HBO Max, really?
I don't think I can wait that long.
I kind of want to watch it again, but yeah, we'll see.
I mean, I'm going to echo some of the stuff you just said, Ant, as well. Like, I think that whole element of fearing the darkness, some of the. I recall watching. I was watching one of the DC animated films, and also in some of the comic books where Gordon would turn on the bat signal, and people would ask him like, "Oh, like, are you looking to talk to Batman?" And he'd say, "No, I just want people to know he's out there." And like the film kind of just resonated that so well. And the cinematography, just the way it was filmed, the darkness, like there's never been a film that's like a Batman film that's been so dark. Like everything just seeps. I mean, you can see even from the trailer, it's just seeped in darkness. The film is not very well lit and done for such a good reason, and it just plays so well into the fact that there's a shadow. Everything is almost always like covered in shadows. There's very few lights. When there is lights on the screen like there is now, it blows out the screen, and in the cinema as well, it just blows out everything in the cinema, and it almost hurts your eyes because your eyes are so acclimatized to the darkness of the movie.
Yeah, it almost feels black and white at a certain point.
Yeah,
and it kind of seems like Sin City. It's got this real film noir style to it,
and I think that was just done fantastically, and that going like that along with also the score I thought
the
the
sound
music,
design is amazing.
sound is absolutely amazing. The
Michael Giacchino on it, just doing it again and again.
Yeah, just absolutely epic. And I like so you just go back to like in terms of like daytime scenes. There's very few daytime scenes. Almost everything in the film is at nighttime. It's like you say, steeped in rain all the time. Just so much atmosphere in the movie, which I just didn't expect it to have. I don't think any Batman film has actually really kind of carried the atmosphere. Maybe Batman 1989. The original Tim Burton Batman had some atmosphere, but even that wasn't anywhere near the kind of level that this has when it comes to the whole element of darkness. So I'm kind of, I'm trying to, I try to think of like negatives because there's so many good things that I like about this film.
I have a negative.
Go on.
I have quite a few.
I have a couple as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
got plenty, but go ahead.
I have one that I won't really get into too much, but the clear one to me is that Bruce Wayne and Batman don't feel like two different characters. He feels like he's playing Batman throughout, even when he is just Bruce Wayne. There doesn't seem to be any facade or change in character. He just seems to be this depressed, brooding 20-something-year-old throughout, which is fine because I still enjoyed the film. It didn't really ruin it for me, but if in previous Batman films, like in Batman Begins, he has that playboy lifestyle in certain parts of the film, and then as Batman, he's a serious fellow, and his act changes. So I guess it might have been good to see two different acting styles, but again, I enjoyed the film, so I can't really fault it for that. That's me like really looking for ways in which to nitpick this. For the most part, it's just the film's length. I don't think it's justified.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think the whole Catwoman element, Zoe Kravitz, I don't rate her as an actress. I don't think she's done anything particularly notable. And in this film, you could take her or leave her. I think almost all of the Zoe Kravitz stuff could just be ripped out of the film. The film wouldn't be any less for it. It just doesn't add anywhere.
For me, it does. I disagree. I think they did it. It's underutilized. Definitely, she's not in it enough. I think their chemistry is so good. Like, it makes that really interesting.
But who cares? Who cares about chemistry? Like, fine, there's some chemistry with him and a female actress. Who gives a shit?
No, but he has a chemistry with Gordon.
But it doesn't add. It doesn't. Yeah, but it doesn't add anything. Yeah,
work together thing.
No. So I think Jeffrey Wright was fantastic in the film. I thought like the whole Gordon character was done really, really well. Like a younger Gordon was great. But Zoe Kravitz, like I said, I think you could cut that out of the film, and it wouldn't make the film any less of a good film. And I think that's that half an hour of the movie that really could just go. That whole element with her and her.
It's about her. It's about saving her soul, like not taking the step, crossing the line and becoming. You're no good as the villain if you take a life. You're no better. It was leaning into that.
Yeah, but here's the thing. So I think that would have worked better if he learned a lesson from that, but he didn't. Like he was teaching her the lesson from that. It's like, well, like again, you could remove her from the film. Like there's an element of her friend, and like that's part of the detective story. But that could have been there without her existing, and that would have been that half an hour you shave off. That whole element with her father being Carmine, being old Falcone, like that. I mean, you could just get rid of that. I mean, I just didn't see a real need for her apart from occasionally getting in the way and being some eye candy to look at for the movie. Like, okay, because if they didn't have her in the character, the only two women that would be in the entire film would be the mayor at the end, and she's barely in it, and it would have been the Russian woman who gets killed, and she's barely in it. So I guess they were like, oh, we need to throw a woman in this film just to kind of like not have just a film full of all men. Like that's what it felt like to me. It's like really there was just no need for that character in there.
In her favor, I would say no one in this film was really given a whole lot to do acting wise. Like, although I enjoyed the film, Robert Pattinson didn't have to act his heart out. I think Colin Farrell is probably the only actor that actually put on an acting performance. So I quite like the Penguin for that reason. But yeah, I think she served the purpose in the film. Do I think she was essential? No, but I quite liked her, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I didn't like the fact that Robert Pattinson became a love interest, and there were scenes where she was kind of flirting with him. That felt unnecessary to me. I don't know why that was even in there. I quite like the fact that they kind of were on mutual terms. They were trying to take down the bad guys, and it was doing fine on that level. There didn't have to be any kind of sexual interaction between the two characters. I don't know why. It just feels weird seeing Batman being kissed by someone.
It's in the comics, and I think it's a bit contrived. I agree. I don't think it was needed. And I know, Sand, you said you think there was great chemistry. I didn't get a sense of great chemistry between the two, if I'm honest.
Yeah, me neither. Good chemistry as a duo, like a crime fighting duo, but in terms of like attraction between characters, it just wasn't there for me.
Okay, each their own on that one. But I'm going to say one. Like, let's talk about the elephant in the room for me. John Turturro playing Falcone in this. I think. I just keep fucking seeing stupid Transformers where he's that stupid bloody. For me, the casting's awful. Casting for that character is awful. I just see that idiot comedian act that he does in Transformers, where he's like in the FBI or whatever, the SBI.
For me, he's always the guy from Do the Right Thing, and always will be.
And
no, but just either way, I'm biased because I've seen a lot of Batman content over the years, and Gotham has done Falcone really well. Obviously, that's live action as well. Obviously, doesn't have a budget like these movies, but Gotham is done so well, and whatever budget it has decent enough acting. You know, it's for how long it lasted and what it did with the characters of basically everyone but Batman, because they really couldn't have him in there, and he's a kid in it. It's just really well done, and like I've seen certain characters done better. Like Vaz is quite a big character. No, is this Vaz or Saz? I can't remember now.
Victor Zaz.
Victor Zaz. He was done really badly, I thought, in Birds of Prey, and he's done so much better in Gotham. He's such a stronger character in that, and just better acting generally in it. I'm getting off the top now, but like, yeah, personally, and then Andy Serkis is wasted. They should have committed and let Alfred die. I think that would have been so much more impactful, and maybe put him on a different arc, because the first thing you see, basically, we see him. He's, "You're not my dad." He's like, okay. It was very emo. I don't particularly like that, but I kind of understand it a little bit, because he's not the same Alfred that we've seen either. And even he says, like, I don't know what to do. All I need to do is to teach you to fight. So he was the literal wrong person to be looking after an orphan child.
Well, look, at the end of the day, one, you can't have Alfred die. Alfred hasn't died in any Batman film. So no, I disagree with that. I think Alfred is fundamental to the Batman character, and I think killing him off would be a horrible mistake.
It was just unrealistic, though. Like he was in arm length almost of the explosion. It's like, how did that not take him out?
Well, I mean, he did realize and throw it. But then you also gotta think that that the Riddler knew who Batman and Bruce Wayne was, right? So
no, he didn't.
He didn't. Yeah.
No, he didn't. See, this is where they screwed this up as well.
So
because he didn't know him in that end.
Here's my take. So here's my take. Right, my take is, so you guys kind of say, the guy was a lackey at the end, right? Who says, "I am vengeance." I don't think that was a lackey. I think the Riddler was actually two different people. And I think that was actually the guy at the end. The lackey was also Paul Dano, with a lot of prosthetics, a lot of makeup on. I actually think the concept there was, and he also had, if you noticed, when he was breathing, his breathing was really raspy and heavy, as was like the Riddler's breathing throughout the film. So I actually think the whole
Yeah,
concept.
but
Oh no, don't nod your head.
mask.
Let me finish my take. My take was effectively that like the Riddler was effectively two people were doing that together, and there was this guy with the raspy voice who was also the guy at the end, and there was the deranged accountant who was doing like the masterminding of it all, and it was actually two people. So one guy was in prison, the other guy was leading the gang of these other people, and he did know, but obviously because one guy was mentally deranged, he didn't know who Batman was, but the other guy did. I actually think and it's a common thing.
It's not implied anywhere.
Wait, it is implied. It is okay. So you're gonna have to rewatch it because I felt it was implied, and I also think you go to law, the Riddler does often know who Batman is in law. Because the Riddler's a super smart.
That's why it's a negative.
Well, so I don't think it's a negative.
But you're saying, yeah, but you're saying that there's that guy he talks to in Arkham doesn't know, right? And so we can't prove this because he literally doesn't know that he's Bruce Wayne.
I think
he said he gets away. Bruce Wayne gets away. Why would he say, "Oh, I didn't kill you"? He said Bruce Wayne gets away.
But I think that's him. I think that's him being cleverer for the cameras, knowing that the cameras are there and saying like, "Look, I'm gonna let you go.
Making that up.
I'm not making that up. I think he was smart enough to say, "Look, I know you're Bruce Wayne, but I'm gonna let you get away with it. I'm gonna call out Bruce Wayne as a separate thing because the fact is,
there's no other evidence.
There is implication. There is. I feel there is, and I think this is one of those we might have to do a rewatch just to kind of go over that.
In 45 days when it's on digital, yeah.
No,
you can screenshot every section.
All right, I will try and do my best. Going back to your thing about John Turturro and Carmine Falcone. I think John Turturro is a fantastic actor. I think he's done loads of stuff, serious and comedy. Yeah. I think he played the role really well. I enjoyed it. I liked the whole. I like the fact that he kind of comes out of nowhere in a sense of he's introduced in the film, but in the trailers, it very much is about Colin Farrell. It very much is about Paul Dano. It's not about Falcone.
Yeah, this is like a mixture of different storylines, like
cool.
the Long Halloween. I think there's a little bit of that.
Yeah, I think, and I enjoyed John Turturro's performance. I thought he was solid. I think every person who kind of played their role played them well. I do think Andy Serkis was criminally underused, but for what there was, he did really, really well. Yeah, I personally don't have any complaints about those people.
So are we gonna talk about the one thing that none of us have talked about yet?
Go on.
The Joker.
Well, he was barely in it.
I know, but
barely in it. They don't even call him the Joker in the credits.
I know, but Matt Reeves has literally confirmed it in an interview. It is him.
Let's talk about the unseen Arkham prisoner then, because that's what he's called in the credits.
No, he said no, but he says it's the Joker. He said they did film a scene with him and Batman. It just got cut.
Right. Which would make sense. The film was already long enough as it was.
But it's not canon, so because you might go in a totally different direction with it. So it's not canon, right. So it'll probably be on the DVD.
We don't know what iteration of the Joker this is. I mean, what his relationship is with Bruce, what he's done, what he hasn't done.
I think it was. That's the point. It was implied with the original scene. It was implied that he's been put in there by Batman, but I don't think they want to commit to that, and that's why it's been cut. So I need to kind of say that this isn't fully fledged Joker yet. Matt Reeves said this is kind of early days.
He did come across like heavy prosthetics and kind of I don't know. I got the kind of Arkham Knight, Arkham Asylum vibes of like that kind of style.
It
of
was
Joker.
Weird looking.
Very kind of out there looking facial structure.
You couldn't really make out much, could you?
No, because it was all very like shrouded in shadow. Again, talking about the darkness. Barry Cohen.
Keoghan, I think it is.
Keoghan.
It's Keoghan.
Played him. Great actor. Didn't like him in Eternals, but otherwise a very, very good actor. So I think if they stick with him.
Has the sequel been confirmed then, or?
Yeah, I think they've greenlit a trilogy for him, but I mean that's not. I mean it's definitely been greenlit. I don't know how much they've actually told everyone in public and all the variety, but they are getting another one.
I really like the fact that Joker wasn't the principal villain in this.
Yeah.
we've had great incarnations of the Joker, and I'm sure there will be. If there is a trilogy, I'm sure they will utilize the Joker. But I thought the Riddler was great to have the Riddler sort of. I was going to say front and center, but as one of the sort of main villains in the film. Because as you said, this really leaned into the detective element of Batman, and the Riddler is a real great counterpart to Batman's intelligence. So it was great to see him.
I was kind of a little bit annoyed about that, because I guess we always think of him like he's the world's greatest detective, but I don't know how to remind myself this is year 2, because I was thinking, how the hell did he outwit you? You didn't even figure that last bit out, and like he had to tell you basically, and like that annoyed me a little bit.
I actually take issue with that last bit because the Riddler said it in such a way that the audience, it was kind of like aimed at the audience, like we missed something. I think that would have worked better.
Mm-hmm.
I see you nodding now. It's like he was saying, you missed the biggest thing of all. How did you miss it? And I'm thinking, I was then internalizing, what did I miss?
Yeah,
I missed something, but it wasn't obvious at all.
No,
it wasn't even obvious.
I think it's one of those. I think it's one of those things where, like, a really good detective story, when they do that and they actually they put all the things in place, and when they say it, and they're asking the audience the question. Because I got that as well. It's like, right, like, it should click now. Like, shit, what did we miss? And we can figure it out from all the clues that were there. But no, it just comes completely out of left field.
I don't know. No, they did, but it was so subtle. That's the problem. They lingered on that carpet, the carpet spreader. When he first murders the mayor, and it flings on, and it was weird for it to just. Why is that shot there? Like, it's just focusing on that.
Focusing. Well, no, I mean, it's focusing. It's focusing on a murder weapon. That's why I felt it was there. The fact is, I don't know what the fuck that thing is. The fact that someone has to point it out in the film, a guy saying, "Hey, that's a carpet spreader." My dad or my uncle or whoever it was is a guy in that trade.
Yeah.
They have to point that out, and that's when it clicks with Batman. So it's not subtle at all. That's not subtle, Sanj. Subtle is it's there. The audience knows it's there. They know what it is, but they don't make the connection. That's subtle. This is completely left field. Nah. Sorry, I'm not going to give you that one.
Yeah, I kind of see that.
A smoking gun is subtle. Like, a carpet spreader that no one even has a clue what that tool is not subtle. I just thought that was like a small hammer that you knocked him out with. Or at that point, I just thought it's a murder weapon, blood. It's going to have no element to the story at all.
Yeah, I didn't think twice about it, so it was they didn't do a good job.
You got to telegraph these things over a period of time, and then you got to have a payoff. This felt like they didn't telegraph it at all, and then they had a payoff, but there was no telegraph to the payoff, so you felt stupid as an audience, just like Batman felt stupid, which maybe was the point.
But that's kind of my problem with it. That's the whole thing, I think, is what my issue was. He's meant to be the world's greatest.
He's not the finished article, though.
I know, and that's why I'm letting it not.
Even Alfred was kind of solving some of the puzzles for him. Like, he wasn't figuring this stuff out on his own. Alfred was sitting there doing the Sudoku, for this stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you could see the hints of the beginnings of it, because Alfred would do X, Y, and Z, and then he'd come along and say, "Oh well, but what if we do this?" And then suddenly, it would make sense. So kind of them working as a team was also quite cool.
The problem, like I was saying to Nav off screen, was I feel like a lot of the trailer gave away some of the best bits. Anyway,
but that's a trait in every trailer these days. They give away the entire film.
Well, Sandra was specifically talking about the scene you just caught below, which was the scene with the Batmobile, the car chase. I think was basically.
I had issues with that. That's actually something I didn't enjoy, funnily enough. So I thought the Batmobile, the aesthetic, it just looked like an old Mustang, and it didn't have the character and the oomph and the OP.
That's because he's year 2 and he hasn't got time to do the frills on it.
It was
he hasn't finished the engine.
It was shot too close. Everything was very close to the characters, and I didn't like that. I wanted more sort of drone sweeping shots.
So
a lot more of the action.
So the problem with drones and sweeping shots is you need to light the scene very well for that, and the film's too dark for that kind of sweeping element. It wouldn't have worked. I think the whole concept was up close, up
Dark
personal.
Knight Dark Knight Rises has that.
Dark Knight Rises. Dark Knight Rises to me is one of the brightest Batman films of all time. Almost the entire film is filmed during the day. Batman out during the day. What's that all about?
The motorbike scene with the Joker when
that's the Dark Knight. That's not the Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
And also that film is very, very well lit. Like all the time, even the motorcycle scene specifically. That motorcycle scene in particular has literally it's like a street lit. It's like lamps all the way down. It's completely well lit, like the entire scene.
I'll have to rewatch that then.
Okay, I mean, yeah, this like genuinely, I think, like I said, it's the darkest film. There are no dark scenes really in any of the Batman films previously.
I think what Adrian's saying, so I agree with him. I think a lot of the action was very close to the camera. It isn't so much that it was dark, because that's what you expect from a Batman film. I feel like the car chase in particular, a lot of it was viewed from a small rear view mirror, and I was squinting at points. I was like, I can't really make out what's happening in this car chase.
I think that but that's an artistic choice. I think he's made. It's
Totally,
like a very
Definitely a choice.
French Connection. I think he was trying to take some homage to that, like those obviously wheel art shots and stuff like that. I think that was just a stylistic choice.
So I'll tell you something I absolutely hated about the film, and what probably would have maybe drifted it into a 5 for me as well, excluding the runtime. I think so. Again, going back to a conversation we had in a previous podcast, where Robert Pattinson about a year ago, when they were filming the film, maybe it was longer than a year ago, but they were filming the movie. Pattinson was asked, like, okay, are you going to bulk up for the role? He decided, and he turned around and said, no, I don't feel I need to bulk up for the role. I think it's pointless bulking up. Like, Batman doesn't need to be a big guy. He can be scrawny. Every single time you saw Pattinson without the suit on, and he was just walking about, and you can see the scars on his back, or you can see, like, him just, like, he's just shirtless, because that seems to be, like, a trope that Pattinson's kind of written into his contract. He needs to be shirtless for at least 20% of the time he's in any film. He is the scrawniest, skinniest little man you could ever see in your life. And for him to be able to pull the punches that Batman pulls, it's absolutely unbelievable. When he's in his suit, you can see how much bulk the suit adds to him, and how they've like padded the suit out to make him look much, much bigger and daunting than he really is in real life. But that to me was really disappointing, that he didn't really kind of feel the need to put effort into bulking up for the role like Ben Affleck did. Like, Ben Affleck got huge for the role for Batman. Like Christian Bale, pretty much. I mean, the guy's a method actor. He kind of bulks up and like goes skinny and goes fat for every role. He changes like with the wind when it comes to roles for his body. But even like he was huge for the role.
But this is what I think is a positive, because you know what? This is the most agile Batman we've ever seen. He's doing
completely
so
disagree. He wasn't agile at all. You could hear, like, when he's walking around in the suit was going bloom boof. Like you could feel.
No,
you could feel the weight.
Man.
No, you could feel the weight of the suit.
No, watch the scenes, man. There's like, this is him actually getting like very physical, very kind of even close to martial arts as any Batman's ever done.
Totally disagree with martial arts. I think it's more street fighting than any other Batman I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm not saying the style. I'm just saying like the others are robots because they're bloody like massive, and they don't feel like they're like really agile. Like
I didn't feel the agile.
Batman's not characterized to be agile. Nightwing is. It's like that's not his main trait.
Yeah,
and I don't think he was particularly agile in this.
No,
I think some of the scenes were. I mean, coming onto the action scenes, segueing into that. I think some of the action scenes were great, especially the one where the gunfire was illuminating the.
Yep,
that was a great shot. That was amazing.
Also in the trailer.
Yeah,
but guys, do you not? Sorry to cut you off. Do you not find the fact that he is scrawny, as you said, Nav, doesn't that emphasize the fact that he's a skilled fighter, that he doesn't need to be big?
No. So I think actually there was elements of the film that I really appreciated that showed that he wasn't a skilled fighter, because he was in a, like, at the start of the film where he beats up one guy, like absolutely, like just destroys the guy right at the start of the gang, and then the rest of the gang kind of jump on him, and he's getting smacked around the back of the head with a lead pipe. And in all the fight scenes, actually, when there's a multiple attackers, he's not like in an advantage. You can clearly see he's disadvantaged, but he manages to get he gets out of it through skill. But he take, like, in other Batman films, you see, for example, I think Batman Begins is a good example of, like, he does all that training, and then later on in the film, he will take out, like, easily, he'll take out like 10 guys, like, in the room without taking a single hit. in this
You gotta
film,
remember,
that doesn't. In this,
this guy hasn't been trained by the league yet.
well,
Patterson's not pressing Y to counterattack, obviously.
yeah, of course, yeah, he's not pressing the one. He's not pressing the counterattack button completely. And I mean, the league element, Sanj. In theory, Batman was trained by the league before he became Batman. So they're just not in this whole in this universe. He's just not going to be trained by the league. Seems like he was trained by Alfred. That's as much as he got. You can see like here, for example, like he's getting shot and he's getting like beaten up a bit, which I thought was realistic and done well.
But to me, that just shows that they tried to make a more realistic Batman. Even the best fighters take a few knocks. You know, I didn't see him getting hit as he's not quite as skilled fighter as previous Batmans. I just thought this is more realistic. It's not realistic for a fighter to take out an entire room of people with AK-47s and just countering everything. It wouldn't happen. I appreciate the level of realism they put into this.
100%.
I also love the fact that he always had the eye makeup on. I feel like in previous Batmans, when he took his mask off, there was no eye makeup.
No, they literally did that in Batman 89. They've got Keaton in the eye makeup and then cut away when he's talking.
Here's the scene, by the way, for the
yeah.
Okay,
great scene.
And then he rips off the mask and then eye makeup's gone. So yes, I actually think that's great them using it, because then even when he's like, you see him when he's like not in Batman clothes and he's got on the backpack, he's still got the eye makeup on, and they're showing like, he's not bloody sitting there doing his makeup every time he fits the bat suit on, like on and off. It shows more realism, so I really enjoy it like that as well.
I've got one more light negative, very light negative. This again, me nitpicking. The film opens on Halloween Day, I assume, and you see this bank robber holding up a little shop, like a liquor shop, and he's wearing this green mask, and it's raining, and you see people on the street all like they're out celebrating. They're wearing weird, funky outfits. That looked amazing, and I thought, oh wow, the whole film is going to be set during Halloween, and you're going to be seeing these like the first gang he takes out. They've got their face painted. I thought all the criminals were going to look like that. I thought thematically this film's going to have like a horror aesthetic to it, but after that opening scene, the whole Halloween element of it kind of fizzled out, and I would have liked it if it kept within that theme throughout.
I think going to like Sanjay's point, he mentioned a little bit earlier, like how the film draws inspiration from a lot of different kind of comics and stories. So I think one of them being The Long Halloween, but The Long Halloween itself was set over a year, and it starts at a Halloween and it ends at Halloween. But yeah, I think it was just that one aesthetic. I think it just worked really well for an intro to the movie.
Don't you think the film had sinister overtones though?
I think the whole thing,
it did. It did.
The Riddler being in hiding in shadows, and
it was definitely sinister and dark, and and it felt very oppressive. Like the fact it was raining in every other scene, I love that. But Halloween has a certain very specific vibe to it that I just gravitate towards, and I thought having that there as well as everything else would have been better for me, but that's just my personal taste.
Cool. Adrian, just a quick one. So you said obviously like a few films deserve the 5 out of 5. So what would have made this a 5 out of 5 for you then?
No, I said I'm reluctant to give immediate sort of knee-jerk almost 5 out of 5. So I need to sit down, probably rewatch it before I can justifiably say this is definitely.
So you think it could be pushed over the edge to 5 out of 5 on a rewatch?
I find I'm quite biased like towards older films. Like I hold them. Something in my heart, like they mean more to me. So recent films, I'm probably more critical, and I'm like, no, this isn't as good as the previous one. So I think there's certainly an element of that when I come to score anything, games, music, films. So I'm not sure, but like I said, I came away really impressed with this film.
So do you think any of the previous Batmans are 5 out of 5? I mean, obviously, we all agree Batman and Robin is definitely a 5 out of 5 film, right? That's that's a standard.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I think I will say Batman Begins and
Dark Knight.
Yeah, definitely.
See, I would never classify Dark Knight as a 5 out of 5 film.
Me too.
I think that's the weakest of the three.
Is.
Yeah, I think Begins is a solid 5 film, but Dark Knight is overrated.
It's a good film. I think it's the fact that Heath Ledger does such a fantastic job as Joker. It's such a standout performance that people then assume that the film is this incredible piece when it has flaws. I feel like Begins is a more solid film throughout, even though it doesn't have Heath Ledger's portrayal of Joker in it.
Much better cut as well. Like you on a rewatch, Dark Knight has about at least 45 minutes of just dead time in the middle of the film. Just nothing happens at all. And it's just boring. Like on a rewatch, like the middle of the film is just boring. Just not a fan of it.
What about the Joker? What did you boys think of that?
In the Dark Knight?
No,
you mean the
Joaquin
Phoenix?
Oh, okay.
Film?
So I enjoyed the film. I think it was a very different take. I was actually kind of surprised. I had a feeling they would kind of do some kind of throwback in this to Joaquin, maybe like him being in the prison cell at the end, rather than like a different Joker. Like they would kind of go in on his face and it's him.
Nah, that has always been a standalone as well.
Yeah.
Todd Phillips was always
I mean, I know they did this. They always say they're going to be standalone, but then there's always kind of like tiebacks. Like like for example, Venom, where no, this is a standalone. It's got nothing to do with the Spider-Man universe, and then they kind of like throw in a No Way Home reference.
But we know Sony were always lying to themselves.
Well,
we're going to do that. Yes, they were.
No, I get that. But what I'm saying is, like, there is more than enough cases of them saying this is a standalone thing and then working in one after it's successful.
Yeah, but timelines are so off.
I'm saying after something's successful, you throw it in. You just throw it in and you make it work.
No, because then like the Joker will be about 80 compared to.
And what's wrong with that? I mean, at the end of the day, this is supposed to be Batman Year 2, and Robert Pattinson looks like he's in his 30s, which, by the way, he is. Like he doesn't look like a guy in his 20s.
Is the other one set in late 70s, if not?
No. I mean, like you're talking about like timeline there, but then there's no actual like reference to. I mean, there's reference to like TV shows in terms of the way the timeline works, but like it's, Gotham is always a thing. Gotham is always kind of this kind of place that just sits outside of. If you go by law, Gotham and Metropolis are like literally across the river from each other. Like what is true and what isn't in the Warner Brothers universe.
That's what to do with time. Time is
no. But I mean, but what I'm saying is all of this stuff is very like transmutable. Like there's no definitive thing here. You're suddenly saying, oh well, just because this thing was like perceived to be at this time, it can't be the same as this. That's just not true.
They look totally different. They literally have 70s cars to like modern day cars. What are you on about? You can't say they now exist in the same timeline.
That's mate. All I'm saying is,
it makes no sense.
Just because Joker's a little bit older doesn't mean that he can't be in the film.
He wouldn't be a little bit older. He was already in his like 40s.
Let's get back on track. Let's get back on track. We can take this offline, boys.
All right. Well, I mean, back on track is. Thank you very much for watching the video, everybody. Like, comment, please. What do you think? Do you think like the Joker timeline? Like, do you think Joaquin Phoenix would make a great Joker?
No, ignore that question straight away because this is dumb.
No, just say where does this rank in Batman films overall? Let us know what you guys think.
All right, yeah, that's a good question to finish on. Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching.